Once upon a time, in a quiet town of Omahia, Emeka lived with his wife Chioma and their two young children. Emeka was a businessman, and for 7 years, their life had just been very ordinary. However, Chioma started getting worried because she saw that her husband was changing. He started coming home late, and his conversations with her grew short and distant. He spent hours on his phone. One day, she saw messages from a woman named Bisi. Chioma's heart was filled with so much suspicion, but she did not want a fight. When she asked Emeka about the messages, he denied everything. Desperate to win back her husband's love, Chioma remembered a friend's advice about kayamata, a traditional charm. Chioma felt deeply uncomfortable with the idea of charms, but her desperation won over. She was told kayamata could not only bring a man's love back, but also make him forget other women completely. She decided to visit Mama Nkechi, a woman in the next town who sold the charms, hoping for a solution to her problems. Meanwhile, in the town of Aba, Bisi, the woman messaging Emeka, was a young, ambitious woman. She had met Emeka at the market, and he had been drawn to her. Soon, he began giving her money and gifts, and Bisi became his side chick. Bisi knew Emeka was a married man, but she did not care. Her goal was to marry a rich man, and she was determined to make Emeka her husband. Her friend Ugochi advised her to use kayamata also. Ugochi told her it was a common way for women to hold on to their men and make them do whatever they wanted them to do. One evening, Bisi went with her friend to a hidden shop behind the market. The woman there sold Bisi a small red bottle and showed her how to use the charm in Emeka's food. Bisi felt powerful. She was sure that Emeka would soon forget his wife. Unaware of the other plan, both Chioma and Bisi began using kayamata on Emeka that night. As days passed, Emeka's life became a fog. He started having terrible headaches and would wake up at night sweating. Sometimes he could not remember simple things, and he would become angry for no reason. At work, he lost focus and his colleagues began to gossip. At home, Chioma cooked his favorite soup and secretly added the kayamata as Mama Nkechi had instructed. Emeka ate it and smiled at his wife, and Chioma was happy, believing her plan was working. Later, he went to Bisi's house. She had also prepared his favorite pepper soup with her own kayamata. After eating it, Emeka felt a strange confusion. He promised Bisi money for her rent, but completely forgot about it as soon as he got home. Bisi called him furious, but Emeka was tired and confused. He did not understand why his memory was failing, and he began to feel like he was losing his mind. One weekend, Emeka's mother, Mama Emeka, came to visit. She immediately noticed her son was not himself. She watched him closely and saw how he reacted to Chioma. Mama Emeka asked Chioma if her son was sick, but Chioma lied and said he was fine. Later, Mama Emeka spoke to Emeka alone. She told him to pray more and to stop seeing so many women. Emeka just nodded, wanting to tell her about the headaches and confusion, but he stayed quiet. He started to fear that someone was trying to harm him. That same week, Chioma started having strange experiences. She had dreams where Emeka called Bisi's name, and sometimes she heard a woman's voice in the night. Chioma grew afraid, wondering if the kayamata was backfiring. One day, Emeka went to see his friend Chuka, a pharmacist. Emeka complained about his memory loss and headaches, but he lied and said it was because of stress from work. Chuka gave him some medicine, but it did not help him at all. Emeka couldn't sleep at night and had bad dreams of two women fighting in the dark, calling his name. To escape the torment, he started avoiding both Chioma and Bisi, making excuses not to eat their food. Chioma became suspicious and started spying on him. She called Mama Nkechi, who told her to bring more money for a stronger Kayamata. Bisi also noticed Emeka was pulling away. She became angry and went back to the woman who sold her the charm. The woman suggested that Chioma might also be using something on him. She offered Bisi a new, more powerful charm, but warned that if two women used Kayamata on the same man, it could drive the man mad and tear him apart. Bisi ignored the warning and bought the new charm. That night, Emeka fainted in his bathroom. Chioma found him on the floor, screamed and called the neighbors. They rushed him to the hospital, but the doctors found nothing wrong with him. Emeka woke up and did not remember fainting. He was afraid. Chioma called Mama Nkechi afraid also, who advised her to stop using the Kayamata for a few days. The news of Emeka's collapse spread quickly and his family became very worried. Mama Emeka called a family meeting and openly accused Chioma of using charms on her son. Chioma denied it but could not look her mother-in-law in her eyes. Emeka's elder brother Ifeanyi suggested they take Emeka to church for prayers, but Emeka refused. He was afraid of more gossip. Meanwhile, Bisi, having heard the news, rushed to the hospital and pretended to be a family friend. Chioma saw her and recognized her, and she became very furious, insulting Bisi in front of everyone. The hospital staff had to separate them. Emeka felt very exhausted and broken, and he begged both women to leave him alone. All he wanted in that moment was peace. At home, things became much worse. Emeka and Chioma stopped talking, and Emeka moved into the guest room. The children noticed the tension and became afraid. At school, Emeka's son also got into a fight with his classmates who called his mother a witch. He was beginning to get affected by everything that was happening in the home. When Chioma went to the school, the teachers were not convinced by her explanations. They felt in their mind that she was a witch. Gossip spread in the community also that Chioma was responsible for her husband's sickness. Depressed and full of regret, Chioma finally called her friend and confessed everything. Her friend advised her to stop using the charm and to confess to Emeka. Chioma did not know what to do and cried every night. The pain in her heart was no longer about losing Emeka's love, but about the evil she had brought into her family. Meanwhile, Bisi was also having her own problems. Since she had used the second charms, she was having terrible bad luck. Her business started falling. Her landlord threatened to evict her, and she lost a lot of money in a bet. She believed Chioma's charm was fighting her charm, and the fear was overwhelming. Restless and desperate, she went to a pastor and confessed everything. She tearfully admitted her love for a married man and her use of charms to trap him. The pastor told her to pray and to stop using charms. Bisi tried, but she was finding it hard to let go of her love for Emeka. She decided to stop using the Kayamata, hoping her life would return to normal. One night, Emeka had a terrible dream. He was standing in a river with Chioma on one side and Bisi on the other. Both women were calling his name, their hands stretched out. Emeka tried to move, but he could not. He felt a sharp pain in his chest and woke up sweating. He remembered his mother's warning and decided that he needed help. The next morning, he went to see his childhood friend Chidi, who was now a pastor. Emeka confessed everything to him, his voice shaking as he told him about his headaches, his memory loss, his two relationships, and the growing fear that he was losing his mind. Chidi told him to pray, fast, and stay away from both women for a few days. Emeka followed Chidi's advice and tried to stay away from both women. He started sleeping at his office and avoided eating any food they offered. Seeing this desperation, Chioma called Mama Nkechi, who this time told her to stop everything and start praying. Afraid but obedient, Chioma threw away the remaining kaya matter and begged God for forgiveness. Bisi in her own home also threw her kaya matter in the dustbin and began attending church. Both women were worried but hoped Emeka would get better. After a week, Emeka started feeling better. His headaches were gone and his memory began to return. He was surprised but deeply grateful. As Emeka recovered, he decided to bring peace back to his home. He sat down with Chioma and confessed everything, his voice full of regrets. He begged her to forgive him for cheating and pleaded with her to stop using charms. Crying, Chioma confessed her own use of kayamata and begged for his forgiveness. The conversation was difficult, full of tears and pain, but they agreed to start their marriage all over again and rebuild their trust. Emeka then called Bisi and ended their relationship. He apologized and told her to move on. Bisi cried but accepted, realizing she had lost a lot and needed to focus on herself. Emeka's family were relieved. Mama Emeka forgave Chioma and prayed for their family to heal. Slowly, life returned to normal. Emeka spent more time at home helping his children with their homework and going to church with Chioma. They worked hard to rebuild their trust. Bisi moved to another town and started a new business, promising herself never to use charms again. Chioma also warned her friends about the dangers of kayamata and how it almost destroyed her family. At work, Emeka's colleagues noticed his happiness and the rumors stopped. The children were finally happy again and the entire family slowly healed. Emeka's friend Chuka, the pharmacist, noticed strange things in his own home. His wife had become cold and distant. Chuka suspected she was also using charms. When he confronted her, she confessed that she had bought kayamata from Mama Nkechi to stop him from drinking too much. Shocked, Chuka told his wife in detail what had happened to Emeka and how their marriage had almost been destroyed. The story was so terrible that it convinced his wife of the danger. Together, they decided to seek counseling, throw away the charms, and fix their marriage through open conversation. The word of Emeka's ordeal and later Chuka's spread through the community. Mama Nkechi, the woman selling the kayamata, saw her business begin to fail. She saw herself as a healer and a problem solver, but her reputation was ruined. Many women stopped coming to her, and some who had used the charms confessed in their churches. The local pastor warned his congregation to stay away from charms and to trust in God. Young girls began to focus on self-improvement and hard work instead of relying on charms to find love. The market for kayamata shrank until it was almost gone. In the end, Emeka and Chioma learned a hard lesson. Love cannot be forced or bought with charms. Trust must be built honestly. They shared their story with others, while Bisi found peace and a new start. Chuka and his wife learned to work on their marriage without shortcuts. Mama Nkechi had to find a new trade. The community of Umuahia never forgot what happened to Emeka, Chioma, and Bisi. Their story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of kayamata and trying to control love with charms. Thank you for listening to this amazing story. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and share for more amazing stories like this on Stories with All Norma. Thank you and see you in the next story. Bye.